So, hello everyone. I'll stand here, bit awkwardly placed in between of you. Sorry. So, welcome at the Fashion for Good Museum, the world's first museum about sustainable fashion. And today we are joined by Karimaduchi, illustrator and fashion designer, for a masterclass. Not only is Karim here because end of October, a garment from him will be showcased here in the museum. Also because he is part of the Grow Talent project as a mentor. He has been guiding a couple of very talented creatives, which whom we have started a project with 2 months ago. It's a project where we collaboratively work on a new exhibition, which will also be showcased end of October. So back to this masterclass, moderated by Fiona Hering. Very happy to have you. So I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody here in the room, and also there are people joining us online. And welcome, Karim. We are very happy that you are joining us because I know you are one of the most in-demand talents at the moment. You're very busy. So we'll start. I have a lot of questions for you, and there's questions coming in as well.
I'm
People
ready.
can send in questions. We'll start with one of the highlights of this year. Immediately in January, you won first runner-up at the Vogue Fashion Prize for Arabian talents in Dubai. And about 20 countries participated. How was that experience, and what has it meant for your career?
Well, the experience first traveling to Dubai during the pandemic was wasn't easy, but we had to do it because it was we they asked us to go.
1 second. I
Do
think
you
a bit
hear me
harder or
well?
not? Can the sound be a little bit harder? Ja, hè? Toch? Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Don't say sorry.
They have to go deep down. I thought it was very easy, so we'll just start. Try to speak a little bit louder.
Hello, hello. Yes, do you hear me? Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
So yeah, the experience was good. I mean, it was quite challenging because they asked us to design um, a project that was going around a new city they were building up in Saudi. And actually, the city is the idea of the city is to be a circular city where everything is sourced from the city.
It's Neom is the name,
Neom,
isn't it?
yeah.
And it is in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so actually our project was to design a fashion collection where we were using materials that were growing in the context where the city was. So we used materials or biomaterials that they had to be growing in that weather or climate or context.
Okay. So
And
what
that
did
was
you
the same.
use? What did you use?
I used seaweed fibers, and then I used cactus silk, and I used leather made of mango leaves.
And how was it? That was the first time, I guess, you worked with these materials.
Yeah. No, the seaweed I used it before for the collection in Paris, but the other two was the first time. I mean, yeah, of course you have to get to know the material and just play with it and make as many mistakes as you can before you do anything.
And what was the challenge? Which material was the biggest challenge?
I think it was the leather made out of mango, and because it was very particular how it moved and it was very fragile, it braked. But you just sometimes when you moulage and you work with the material, you have to adapt to the material. So we made a dress that breaks.
It breaks.
Yeah,
Okay, so you can't wear it.
I mean you can, but it will break after 10 minutes.
Okay. Then you're naked.
Yeah. There is something under it.
Okay, but I mean, winning the prize and winning, I think also like $50,000 or something.
Yes,
Yeah, it's nice.
I will
too.
get you a coffee later.
Okay.
That's what you want to know.
But what did it do to your career? I mean, did you get new clients?
I mean, it was perfect. I mean, it was good timing because it was after the many cancellations because of the pandemic. So it came in a good timing. always helps to have a base that it's there,
Yeah.
so you can relax a bit more and do your project. So
And it was at the Armani Hotel. You've stayed there for 10 days?
10 days.
Yeah. So that must have been difficult, I think, for a busy bee like you because you have so many projects.
Well, I was working from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of course, we in the with the computer. I mean, you do what you can, of course, but I mean, thanks God I have a good team. We communicate well, and everything is possible. For me, the most difficult thing was not to have
Not to have
a park like green areas.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the challenge of the city because I'm not a very city boy. I don't like big cities, but
But
yeah, I
you
mean, it
live
was okay.
but you
Yeah.
live in the heart of Amsterdam.
But Amsterdam, it's a little big village.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Emmanuel Arnault, he's the editor in chief, as you know, of Vogue Arabia. He said that
Mhm.
it is one of the magazine's core aims to be at the center of the fashion ecosystem in the Arab world by nurturing its emerging designers. Is there a large sustainable community across the region? I mean, is sustainability and innovation in fashion high on the agenda in the Middle East?
Yeah, because their fashion industry just started, let's say.
Just started?
Yeah, I mean, it started 20 years ago or 15.
Hmm.
Before they didn't have many fashion brand or houses. So they are more flexible to adapt and to be more innovative and just, to be more brave in that sense. I mean, the European houses, they're here for years, so they cannot change very quick their values or foundation of the companies. They could break easily. So I think that's why Middle East has so many sustainable brands and approaches towards fashion industry.
Do you also play a role in that? Do you give lessons at the university over there?
I suppose true, but then our dearest pandemic came,
Mm.
and no, gave talks some months ago, but I hope can do it next year. But at the moment, no.
Yeah, yeah.
It's too warm as well to go there.
Tell us about NEOM. I guess there's people in the room that know about NEOM, but for me, it was quite new. It's very interesting. Can you tell me something about it, what it is?
Well, NEOM it's a very ambitious project that it's based in Saudi Arabia, where they are willing to create a city by 2030. It's quite utopic, and the city
A
has.
city in 9 years they created?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, they have to still, but they wanna create a city that is sustainable by itself, where the food is sourced in the city, the fabrics for the clothing is sourced in the city, electricity, energy, and everything has a circular economy,
Mhm.
and that's their vision to create an independent city from the rest of the world.
And it's in the middle of the desert.
Yes.
Have you
Yeah.
been there?
No, it's supposed to go in April, but again, the pandemic.
That's the answer to
I will try
everything.
not to say pandemic anymore tonight.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think Arabian designers are still overlooked on an international high-end stage?
Define overlook.
What?
What do you mean by overlooked?
Well, I don't think there are a lot of Arabian designers in showing in Paris, for example.
No, yeah, we have Zuhair Murad and then Eli Sab.
Yeah.
And then we used to have Hussein Chalayan, but then he vanished. I don't know what is he.
Yeah.
And so it was these three. And then it was me that they showed, but I'm not as big as they are. So there is not many in Paris, no.
No,
I mean, you have many showrooms and shops and little shows, but they are outside of the official calendar.
but do you
Of,
expect that to change? Because you come there, you've seen now a lot of talents for the contest that you were
Mhm.
joining. Do you expect like a big group of Arab designers now?
Well, I know that the Federation de la Mode from Paris is trying to create more inclusivity in the calendar, but of course the Middle Eastern brands, they know the financial effort that requires.
Mm.
So they rather invest that finance on online marketing than having shows in Paris. So also depends of every brand or designer, it's a different strategy. But Paris Fashion Week is doing, they are trying to, attract more Middle Eastern designers.
Mhm. You've been on the official calendar as well, invited by
Yeah.
the Chambre Syndicale. Was it only once?
Yeah, actually it was my dream since I was 15. And then when it happened, I left.
And then what? When it
When
happened?
it happened, I just left. I just didn't do it again. I
Why?
just had it one time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but they didn't ask you back.
Yeah, they asked me back. Yeah.
Okay, but why didn't you do it then? If it
I
was
don't
your
know.
dream.
Because then I was getting into that 6 months nightmare of every month, 6 months have a show.
Yeah,
And I was like, I would rather stop now than stop after six, shows.
yeah, yeah.
So I told them before I started, I'm like, well, I'm a weird designer. Don't expect me to show every 6 months or do what you ask me to do. So, but yeah, we'll go back when I feel like it.
Did it also help that you met Pierre Berger, the
No, that
business partner of Yves Saint Laurent?
yeah, I met him. I think was 2016, and then, but it didn't have anything to do with Paris Fashion Week because that was after. But yeah, it was a nice experience to meet
It was a
such.
beautiful story you told me
Yeah.
once, so maybe you can share it with all of us. How did you meet him?
Well, when I was doing my internship in Paris, somehow I got obsessed with a designer as a Dinalaya, and they didn't want to take me for an internship because they're very French. Yeah, I don't know how to well describe it. And I'm very Latin sometimes, so I just talk them outside with my portfolio every day. And after I think 3 weeks, as Adina Laya saw me from the windows and he came down and he was like, come in. And then he showed my portfolio and stuff. But he told me that the coming year it's possible to have an internship, but this year no. So I wasted 3 weeks of my internship time. And then when the cash ran away because I was waiting,
You're just camping in front of his home?
well, not camping, I was there all the time
Okay.
because I know him and he's very approachable person to person. He's not a person of calling him or sending an email. But then that day when I was rejected, I went to the Institut de Monde Arab and I saw Jack Lang that he runs the museum. And I was always very impressed by that museum because it was the first museum to be dedicated to the Arab culture in Europe. When I was 15, I saw it. So I wrote a letter to him by hand that day because I had no smartphone to write an email. So I just did it. And I gave him the letter, but then the assistant didn't want to give it to him. And then and then I saw him later. I'm like, hey, did you got my letter in the hallways? He's like, no, I didn't. To who did you give it? I'm like, that girl. So he went to her and he said, what is the letter from this boy? And then she took it and gave it to him. And then I think 2 weeks later, he sent me a letter and invited me to go back to Paris, saying that he was impressed by how stubborn I was and to meet Pierre Berger. Yeah. He gave me a book and I gave him an artwork and then we're supposed to meet
You
again.
gave him an artwork?
Yeah.
Yes, a painting?
Yes. Yeah, a small one.
Wow.
And because I was going in the bus.
So you
So it
were in
couldn't-
that collection that sold so well.
I didn't see it. I think maybe they threw it away. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I didn't see it in the catalog.
Mm.
And then he's supposed to meet him again, and then he passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You once said when I interviewed you, I'm not an average Arabian designer. I don't make shiny dresses. My work is very personal. Um, is there something Arab designers have in common, like a certain sensibility, like the Japanese have a love for different proportions of the body?
I mean, yeah, if you look at it, the first generation of big Arab designers, it's all crystals and shiny and princess, and they're selling that Hollywood dream
Mhm.
that Dior used to sell in the 40s. So it's history repeating itself in the Middle East.
Mhm.
So I hope they look into history and they don't make the same mistakes. But yeah, now we have more Arab designers. They are more experimental and personal and bohemian. And but before we just had these big princess designers
Mhm.
that they couldn't look up to because it was too Hollywood, it was too far away.
Mhm. You said my work is very personal. Can you explain what is very personal about your work?
Um, I don't know. I mean, when I was at school, I had to differentiate myself from the other classmates, and we were all trying to do our best to be special. But at some point, I lost it. I'm like, I cannot look for anything special outside of myself. So I was like, okay, then I just go to my roots and I go to who I am and I will just tell my story and I hope that's special. And it seems that doing that is what the audience connects the most with. And it's something I kept always in my work, to be transparent and personal and approachable, and use that to grow, because also when you do that, it's a daily investment in your own persona, so you grow with it. Is That's why I don't look into fashion shows or magazines or fashion documentaries. Some of them I can watch, but all it's too much contamination for my mind, so I try to just keep it personal.
And after winning the prize in Dubai, you told me that you hope to start selling at Net-a-Porter. Did that dream come true?
Did I say that?
Yes, you said it. It's in print in the newspaper.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, then I did say that. Yeah. Okay. Um, no, I hope it will happen soon. Yeah. I mean, I think we spoke about it also. Net-a-Porter takes big commissions. And also, I told them I will just do it if they buy the looks, you know?
Mhm.
Because as a designer, you have to take care of yourself. You cannot just all these brands and shops, they say, yeah, put your dress in my shop and let's see if it sells. No, buy it and then you see if it sells. So you have to play these games, and I think that's why it took longer, and hopefully we will do it next year. But no, I'm not going to do pret-a-porter like
You are?
I'm not going to do pret-a-porter or mass production or
No.
anything. No,
Okay.
not at the moment.
What is it from your Moroccan roots that we will always see in your work?
My Moroccan roots. I think the craftsmanship and the details, the textures, yeah, the colors. I have the joy of the country, and yeah,
You also wanted to give, with the first collection, you wanted to give Berber women a voice.
yeah, that was the first step. Yeah, it was the first. I mean, I'm Berber myself, but I wasn't very connected to it because I left when I was very young. And it was that moment at school when I said, oh, I have to get to know myself, otherwise I'm going to lose it.
Mhm.
So I went back to the Berber culture that it's mine, and then I got obsessed with it until
We got
now.
obsessed with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you made an incredible dress from a Berber carpet, and that
Hmm.
has been bought by the Tropenmuseum.
Yes, yeah, the 100-year-old carpet.
Oh yes,
Yes,
100-year-old
yeah,
carpet.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That I got that carpet from a very old palace in Tancha, and then I saw the carpet on the floor. I'm like, and then
it's
I
a nice
just
dress.
used it the other way, the other side around. Yeah.
Okay, and how do you see your role as a designer? I mean, especially in this time of overload, so many brands,
How do I see the
too many
future?
clothes. No, your role as a designer. What do you think your role has to be?
Well, I hope I can be that designer that is approachable. I mean, that's a good question.
It's a
My mind
difficult
is
question.
flying all over the place now.
Okay, well, show us inside your
I mean, what
mind.
I love the most is the craftsmanship and making the dresses and having interaction with the clients or the people I work with or the team. If I go bigger, I can do it, but I don't want to lose contact with nobody on the way. So I have to navigate that waters and see what's the best to do it.
Mhm.
I cannot be in my office ordering a factory somewhere to make a dress without seeing the fabric. I tried, it doesn't work. I always end up going. I'm like, so how is it going? you know? And so I hope I can be that designer that everyone doesn't want to be anymore.
Do you have an advice for? We have a lot of young designers here in the room. Do you have an advice for people want to start their own brand?
How many?
Oh,
One.
only one. They all look
Um,
like designers. They dress really well.
advice. I don't know. It's what always worked for me. I mean, first of all, you can never give up. Once you start,
Mhm.
I mean, of course you can, but it's just a waste of your time. But it's worth it in the end. If you find your own space in the industry, that space it's yours, and you take care of it, and you just water it daily, and it grows with you, and you learn from it. But the advice I would say is that the path is not going to be smooth. So you're going to have ups and downs. But after every down, you go up. So it's part of part of it, And there is many advices to give. I mean, depends if it's design wise or financial wise or marketing wise or branding or
Do you have a good financial advisor?
if I have a good one.
Financial advisor?
Well, I had many bad ones, but I learned from all of them.
Oh, you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. How important is sustainability in your work? I mean, I think you from the beginning you've worked with recycled materials, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, first it started as a need because I didn't have the cash to get all the fabrics I wanted, so I was just using curtains or carpets or whatever I could get. But with time, I when I go to a fabric shop, I just don't enjoy it. I mean, of course, if it's for a client, it's different. But if it's for myself, I like to transform things, and I don't know, look at this table and think of something, or that chair, or it just how my mind thinks. And I think that also gave me the basis for the brand to be sustainable now, and how to how to use what's there instead of looking for new stuff that require more energy and time.
Yeah, yeah. You were talking already about the table, and we have something very interesting on the table.
Yeah.
As you are for the Fashion for Good Museum, you are making
Yes.
a dress, I guess. And this is, well, you can explain what it
This
is.
is a silk fabric made of fiber from oranges. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it
Is that,
smells a bit to oranges. Did you smell it?
no, really?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Yeah, like immediately a perfume as well. Okay, but it was the first time you worked with it.
Yeah.
And what is it? What is the quality? Is it very special?
Well, it moves very nicely. It's very light and soft, of course. And knowing where it comes from, it's very friendly.
It's very what?
Friendly fabric.
Yes, a
Yeah.
friendly fabric.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's organic and it's biomaterial and it's an orange fiber. So your mind thinks about nature when I see it.
And it's also a rich garment.
Yeah, actually, it's a very good silk.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, great. You got it, of course.
yeah, I got it
Yeah,
from.
yeah, yeah.
from my
You
design.
were already, well, not anymore because I think you were 33. Or wasn't I allowed to say that? Now you were in the Forbes 30 under 30.
Ah, you want to know my age now? 33. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
Jesus.
It was a tricky question. Now, you were on the Forbes 30 under 30, as well as in the European and in the Middle Eastern list. That must have been a dream come true, I guess. Can you make a good living out of it? In other words, do you already own a penthouse in Amsterdam overlooking the canals?
No.
No?
Oh, Fiona.
Oh, Fiona. Tell us.
No, I mean, they don't give you money when you're in the list. It just,
No, of
no,
course
you
not.
know,
But
it just it
people
gives,
notice you.
yeah. So you have to know how to use that for press wise. And so they just put in the list that there are 30 personalities to watch the coming years in every continent. And it happened that year I was in both Europe and Middle East. And yeah, but I don't know what was your question. I got lost.
Well, I just wanted to know if it worked. I mean, it sounds really good, like Forbes, 30 under 30. So then I guess the money comes in, but it's not true.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is many Forbes listers who are not doing as they wish. It's you have to know what to use what you have around,
Yeah,
whatever it is. You can win 200K and use it wrong in a
yeah,
month.
yeah.
So it depends. So the Forbes list, I was proud and happy. It was unexpected, but I didn't really relax after it. Just kept working.
Of course, of course. So for 1 second, we go back to the prize in Dubai because Mohammed Ben Chalal, he won the first prize, and he's also a
Thanks
designer.
for reminding me.
Well, he's also good. He's also a
Also.
designer with Moroccan roots living in Amsterdam, but
Yeah.
you didn't know him.
Well,
How come?
I don't know. I think we moved in different circles.
Are you much more of a loner?
No, I have friends. Yeah.
No, but I
Yeah.
mean working hard and forgetting to go out and have fun. Of course, not
Well,
the last year,
I
but
do prefer little crowds so I can have a good talk. And because if I go to the big crowds, I just don't talk. I get lost. And if I have free time, I leave. So, but yeah, I'm around. I mean, I'm social. It's not. But yeah, we didn't meet. I think it was just yeah.
now you
We
you
met in
stay.
Dubai, and then
Yeah.
we were there 10 days, and then we took the same flight. And when we came back, we never saw each other again.
No.
But I mean, we call each other and text and stuff. But
Okay.
we are both a bit cuckoo. So
Okay. What does
it's
that mean,
difficult to
cuckoo?
see. Yeah.
A few.
Designers, I mean, when I say cuckoo or artist or whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it.
yeah. A few short questions. Cooking or pizza delivery?
I deliver and then I add stuff on it.
You what?
I deliver and then I add stuff on it.
Oh, you add stuff on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's sort of cooking your own pizza.
Yeah.
Okay. Netflix or a cocktail party?
Why not both?
Yeah, that's a good one. A tagine with chicken and lemon. That's my favorite. Paella or croquette?
No, that I cannot take both. Otherwise, it's gonna.
It's too
I
much.
will go for the tagine.
Yeah, yeah. Do you sometimes are working so hard that you forget to take care of yourself?
I used to, but then at some point I had to think better and not work that hard. Yeah.
Do you go to the gym?
Yeah.
Do you cook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just come to the gym with me. I will cook for you. Then you will.
No, because I remember it was 2 years ago when I interviewed you. I think you said that you never cooked or you didn't cook for a year, but it
At
changed.
that time, yeah, I
Yes.
changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
People change.
Happily. We want to know some more about your background. You were born in Imzuren.
Yes.
Do I pronounce it right? It's a small village in the north of Morocco.
Yes. It's
What
yeah.
kind of upbringing did you have?
Well, I was very humble. My grandfather had a little cafe that used to just be open on Saturdays because it was the day of the how do you say it? The souk, like the outside market. And then my mom was a seamstress at home, and my dad was a seamstress, a tailor as well. I didn't went to school in Morocco, so I was just all the day
You were
dreaming because they were all busy. So I was in the courtyard doing my stuff. And I mean, I remember I saw my first book in Spain.
You saw your first book in Spain.
Yeah.
Okay, so not
Yeah.
okay.
So it's a quite very humble village. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And both of your parents, as you mentioned, are tailors. What is your earliest memory of them working?
I remember them discussing which seam was the best or stuff. So they were like arguing about how to make something. But my dad used to make clothing for men, and then my mom for women. Of course, how you would expect in the 80s in Morocco was everything separated. So my mom was in the courtyard, and then my dad had a studio or atelier or a little room in the village. Yeah.
And you were already as a little boy crawling around.
Yeah, I was on my with my mom, or then run to my dad. There was like 10 minutes running, not walking because I think I didn't walk. And yeah, I remember playing around with fabrics and hearing the sewing machines, and yeah, I have good memories of that.
So I think it was destiny. You needed to become like a couturier or a designer. Do you agree?
Well, I tried for many years not to be.
Not to be.
Yeah, I pushed it away, and
Really? Why?
because when you're a teenager, you just don't want to be like your parents, so you just want to go the other way around. And then when you grow up, you
What
have.
did you want to become then?
I wanted to first art teacher. Well, I had like three thoughts. I don't know why I wanted to be a chauffeur. Because
A chauffeur?
yeah, because I love talking to
You have a
people.
big car.
Yeah, and then I wanted to be an art teacher, and that's what brought me to the art side. Yeah.
Yeah, you went to a certain art school in Barcelona, wasn't it?
Yes, I started in some kind of art institution. There was like some kind of ballet school, but for art. So I was daily after the normal school since I was 5 until I was 22, I think.
And you were an illustrator.
No, we had to make everything: the canvas, the pigments, the everything had to be made from scratch,
Mhm.
and then you do the art
Yeah, yeah.
part. So if you had to make a painting, you need to get the oil, the pigments, and then the frame, and do everything yourself, and then you can start to to paint.
Okay. So you lived quite a while in Barcelona until what
Yeah,
age?
22. Yeah.
And then you chose to study at the Rietveld Academy. Why?
Um, well, I applied for 3 schools. I applied for London, St. Martin's, and then in Paris at the Art Decoratives, and then here in Amsterdam. And here was the first one who took me, so I just came the next day.
Ah, I thought it was really by
Yeah.
choice, but
You
okay.
think so? Was a bad
No.
choice? Oh, okay. Too late now. It's like
um, Besides couture, your work consists of many projects. Huh? You're working right now on a dress. You just finished. You told me it's a
Mhm.
dress that combines three religions: Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. That's for an upcoming fashion exposition here in the Nieuwe Kerk.
Mhm.
Can you tell me about it? How did this idea came up, and what did you do with it in the end?
Well, they asked me to loan them a look, a garment for the exhibition, but I don't remember how it happened. That they went to the church, and then I told them, no, I want to make one, because they had something around or something, or a friend or someone gave me fabrics 2 days before that they wanted to use for something, but I didn't know for what. So I think something happened, and then I got the idea of making one dress made out of 3 religions. So I used some capes that priests used to use 100 years ago. So I just cut them open again. And then I went to Antwerp and I got some Jewish from the Hasidic community, like the black coats. And then I used some Muslim fabrics, let's say. I need to keep it sensitive, so I will say fabrics. And then I just matched them all together. And then I created the base of a dress. And then I asked 3 people or personalities from every community to come together into a room and finish the dress together with me, and film that experience and ask them what religion means to them, or how do they live nowadays, or what's freedom, because the exhibition is about freedom. So I use that as a topic. So in the end, it's not about the dress itself, it's about what the dress does to people. So now these 3 people I invited, they became friends and they created a community together where all religions can come together and talk about it, and have a social moment having 3 different religions. So for me, it was a social experiment.
Mhm.
And then that's why the dress, it is what it is. It just a dress made out of 3 religions, finished by 3 religions as well.
Yeah, yeah. And does religion always play an important role in your work?
No, culturally, yes, but not in the sense how we know religion.
Mm.
No. I mean, of course, there is symbolism that you can use as an artist and connotations,
Mhm.
but not in that sense, no.
You said that with your work you want to build bridges between cultures and you want to connect people. Why is that so important to you?
Because I hated to work alone in the studio. I was going crazy or cuckoo, how I say. It just, I mean, it's as an artist, it's good to have your own time and have a bubble, but art should be a social document. So you should be out there
Mhm.
and connect to people and talk and see what issue you care about and try to solve it with the skills you have around you. So that's how it started. All this social approach to fashion and the art is,
Mhm.
I mean, I love being by myself, but I don't like to work by myself all the time, because otherwise I'm just doing what I feel like it. And it's nice to have a challenge.
Yes, you open your atelier regularly for newcomers, like former refugees from Iraq, Syria, Eritrea, and Moroccan women from the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with them? Is it every Monday?
Well, now it's a different. Now it depends what they can. So we're flexible. So our studio, it's open doors. They can just come when it's possible for them, because they have jobs and kids, etc. But this approach to the fashion side, I do it together with World Makers Foundation,
Mhm.
with Anne Casano, that she's sitting there. She's a shy lady.
Can you wave? Yeah.
So together we create community using creativity in a way. Yeah.
And also cooking together.
Not next to
Oh,
the garments, no.
oh, I thought you did because I have it here. I got
Oh,
it.
that was for the show in 2017. That was a funny situation, yeah.
Okay,
When
okay.
we were making the looks and then they were making tagine next to it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You said fashion is a universal language that can have a healing, purifying effect. Can you explain that?
Did I say that?
Okay.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
You forget everything, but
No,
I'm
no,
a
no.
journalist. I write everything down.
I remember. Yeah, I mean, fashion it's a art discipline. You know, it tells stories, it brings feelings alive, and it's a way to express yourself, and it should connect universally to everyone. You don't have to be able, you don't need to speak any language. You just look at it and feel it.
Yeah, but the purifying effect.
Oh yeah, that's a catharsis for every artist. It's like what musicians do when they get into an ecstasy because of the music.
Mm.
That's for me real fashion.
And you also have a project. It's the social distancing fabric
Mm-hmm.
project. I think the book is from
Yes,
that as
it's
well,
here.
and for which you've sent 200 drawings to families all over the world who volunteered
Mm-hmm.
via social media. How did you select them, and what was the project exactly?
Well, during the first lockdown, Ankas and I, we were just busy with many projects, but then everything canceled. So I think it was the second, no, the 12th of March was the first day, and then the 13th we started because we were like, we cannot just stay at home. We are not that kind of I cannot stay still, and she also. So we decided to make an announcement online of asking people, hey, we can send you a piece of fabric with a little drawing and thread and needles that we have left. Because I mean, at that moment, I think we thought it was apocalypse. So we
Yeah.
thought it was the end. So let's just send stuff away. And we put a online announcement asking people if they want to get the fabric with a drawing of mine and then needle and thread they could embroider. So we put it online, and then in 24 hours we got 400 or something people reacting, and then we had to close the list because it was going too much.
Too big of a success.
Yeah. And then we used fabrics that we had around. So I made a drawing. We made a little envelope, and then I was alone in the studio cutting fabrics, drawing with a double pencil because it was faster,
Mhm.
with tape, sending it to people, and then Anne was at her place doing all the list with everyone, with the address and stuff. So we had to close the list because we ran out of fabric, and I couldn't draw anymore. I was like, this is too much. And also because it would be too big, the project. So we send it to them, and we just ask them to send it back to us when it's finished. So we could put it together and have one collective artwork made by 200 people who ever met. So it's a symbolic of the social distancing moment. So that's why it's called it social distancing fabric. So time passed, and then after 3 weeks or a month, we were like, "Oh my God, we will never get the fabrics back." I'm sure they got lost somewhere in the ocean because it was globally.
Mhm.
And then the next week they started, and they were coming every day. But the surprise was that they came back with letters and little gifts, and I started to read the letters, and it was their personal stories,
Mhm.
what happened, their dreams, what they lost, what they were looking forward to, what they miss, etc. So suddenly we were connected to 200 strangers, but we never saw their face. And I had their fabric there, so I could feel their worries and hope in the fabric. So we decided to make a book because there were so many stories that I was like, I cannot just put them under the table. We need to do something. So this is the result of the stories. And then in this book, we have all the faces that they did and their stories and their names.
Can you open it up so that we can see a
Sure.
little bit?
So you see the faces. Also, like we missed so many faces because of many different reasons that we didn't want to mention out of respect to the families. but still yeah, we gave them an empty page, and then we kept a thread going around as a way to say that we are all connected somehow. So in the first part of the book, you have all the faces they did. So everything, every time I was getting a face back, I used to scan it and then put it in the list. This one is back, no, 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 you know. So we had a system somehow. And so, and then after you have the stories of everyone.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, this is the
When
story.
can we buy it?
Um,
Here. No, is it already in the shop? So
yeah, we're gonna have it here, I think, in the Fashion for Good shop downstairs, and then we're gonna have it online, and then at the Amsterdam Museum, the 25th, we have the big opening. Ah, okay. Oh, and yes, and so yeah, we can buy it online and in different museum shops. At the
Okay.
many, I forgot all the shops now.
Very
Yeah, the
interesting. We have to go because I have so many questions left, and there's
okay.
questions coming in as well. So we have to hurry a little bit. With your you have your World Makers Foundation, and you support refugee and migrant artisans. And how exactly? Because you said sometimes they come here, but they are not they cannot make it as entrepreneurs, so they end up in different professions.
Uh, yes. I mean, we when we say refugee, it's it's a big word,
Mhm.
and mostly a refugee can be anyone. It can be a doctor, a wood carver, a tailor, a cook, a housewife, a little kid. So when they come here, they all of that experience they have and their foundation in life, it's gone. So World Makers Foundation is just to bring back that foundation they had back in their home and to help them to succeed with their vision here and be entrepreneurs, and find, because it's very difficult to be an entrepreneur where you have an asylum status. So the idea of World Makers Foundation is to bridge that gap between the bureaucracy here and their needs as people.
Yeah. And are you also still working on your project Golden Age dresses?
Yeah, that's on hold.
It's on hold. Okay. But why is it on hold?
Because the museums they were closed until 3 months ago,
Yeah, yeah.
and for that project they have to like spend most of the like some months in the depots of the museums, and then do research about the golden age in Holland, and then we go to India, and we don't supply, we make some fabrics with small communities, and yeah, so it's again another social approach, because most of the fabrics during the golden age in Amsterdam, they come from India, and then they pass from Holland, and then they go to England. So we want to go back to India and make that fabrics again, and just give them the way they are and treat them as art and what
And
it
this is a
deserves.
project with the Rijksmuseum and the Amsterdam
Yeah.
Museum. And in between all these long-term and intensive projects, you still find time to draw and paint. I've seen them. They're very interesting. And how do you find the time to do this? And are you represented by a gallery?
No, I hate galleries. There's
You hate
so
galleries,
no, I
really?
don't hate them. It's a big word to say hate, but n- no, yeah. I mean, I still draw and paint. I don't find the time. I have to make it, So yeah, I mean, you have to keep creative. If it's how your brain works, you just have to keep doing it, and I
Do
love
you
it.
do it for yourself? Do you sell them?
Yeah, I do it for myself, and then because I have people in the studio in and out all day, it works as a gallery.
I know we have an illustrator from Phoenix, Arizona here. So maybe
Hi.
you have a question for him?
Yeah, yeah.
So, how do you reconcile your creative spirit with what we're taught in design school, which is so process oriented? And in my case, what I felt was a very strict sort of path. I think you spoke a little bit about that going through design school, but how did you find yourself? Because design school sometimes is not supportive of that necessarily when you're going through the education.
And that's Parsons.
Yeah.
That's mostly is one of the best ones worldwide as an education system. I mean, I think I mentioned it before to the Grow Talents that education has to change for us to see what's going on right now. And because they ask me many times, what do you hope for the future in the fashion industry, for example? And I told them the only way to solve our issues now is to go to the source of education system and change how we are educated to design collections or to think in marketing or branding or how to solve problems. Because I left school, I knew nothing. I mean, I met nice people, but I had to learn through the mistakes, and you have to get lost to be found. So it's very good if you are getting lost at some point, but the only way is just to find your own system and follow it and do what you like the most. And because if you do something that you don't really love, when you have a little down, there is no way you can get energy from anywhere. You have to love it. And if you have that foundation, it's okay to have ups and downs because you're there. And I don't know what you're struggling with exactly, but
Well, I teach now, so I'm an
so you struggle with
I'm
the
an older
students.
person. So I try and change and I'm not at the level, I'm not teaching at Parsons, I'm teaching at a simpler,
Okay.
college. So, and I work in an incubator, and it's interesting because we're learning about the circular economy, and we're behind you guys. We're in Phoenix, Arizona, and Los Angeles. We're struggling with how do you implement that when we have big cities that aren't sustainable, right? So,
Well, use that. Use being behind the rest of the world to start from scratch. You know what I mean? Because when you have so much going on, it's difficult to make space. So if you're behind, use your weakness as your strength. And what I always say, because I remember once I had an argument with a teacher because they were trying to change me to make me to their own reflection they had about me. And then me that I answer everything, I said, you cannot change me. You have to make me better of who I am. And they didn't like that approach, but I think it's the approach that will work the best because then the students leave school having confidence in themselves and knowing themselves, and then it's when they can fly. If you try to change them, they leave broken. Yeah.
great, thank you. Mhm.
Thank you. Is there somebody else with a question in the room? Don't be shy. No? I have already some questions that came in earlier. Oh, yes. Come here. Come over.
Hey. So I have a question. What is the most personal story you have told, or the story that you connected most with? They're all really personal, but there has to be like a favorite.
Mm, mm. Um, I think was the good question, by the way. I think was the story I told for the show in Paris. I had was hard because I was with the journalist and then she was asking. But I told the story of where and how, I mean, how we know in the situation I was born, actually, and how I said before my mom used to be a seamstress and now she's still, but she does it when I'm not at home. When I go to visit her, she hides the sewing machine because I forbid her to sew. And so I was born under a sewing machine while my mom was making a dress, and she was by herself, and we still have that sewing machine, and we still have the little box, and we still have the scissors that she used to
Cut
cut
the
whatever.
umbilical
Yeah.
cord.
I'm sorry if it's gross for someone, but
No, it's beautiful. You told it me
yeah.
once, but you said it's so personal that so I was afraid to ask. But now you're telling it already. You're
I mean,
sharing
yeah,
it.
Christopher asked me, so I just had to put myself together and tell it again. Yeah. So I think that was the most personal story I shared. Yeah.
A fashion designer born under a sewing machine.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Mhm.
I have another question here. What time, moment, or event in your life initiated growth as an artist and human? Somebody send that in.
Can you repeat?
Okay. What time, moment, or event in your life initiated growth as an artist and human?
You have to choose one moment.
Yeah, that's difficult. Now you can also give two. There's probably so many, but
I think
is there a
maybe,
defining moment?
yeah, maybe the show we had together with Anne. She has 99 names fashion show together with the newcomers. There was, I took for granted the power of art and fashion, what community can do. I think that day at the show I realized a lot and I growed a lot. Yeah,
Okay. Where do you see the biggest growth in sustainable fashion in the next year?
the biggest growth. Well, I hope in the supply chain and in production. Well, I hope I see it in every term of or scope in the fashion industry. There is so many things that has to be changed. Why are we using labels in made out of polyester that nobody looks at inside of the garments? We can just with a QR code or I don't know, so many. I hope all these little things they change how we consume and where the materials come from. The the salary situations in non-developed countries and yeah.
Another question that came in: where in the world can we see Karimaduchi's creations, please? And are some of them for sale? And where?
Well, for sale you have to come to the atelier. So because they are not online, and we have garments on display. From coming week we have the new Kirk, and then next month we have the Kunstmuseum, then we have the Amsterdam Museum, then Victoria Albert Museum in London has some pieces, the Art Decoratives Paris has a piece as well. So yeah, otherwise, yeah, they are mostly museums, and then they display them depends of the exhibition. Or otherwise, I will just make a big exhibition soon, and then everyone can come.
Mhm. And your clients, most of them are located outside of Europe, in Japan, America, Morocco, and the Middle East. At
Yes.
least 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They appreciate your silence. You never post pictures of them in your clothes or use their names.
No, yeah, it's a treatment they pay for the privacy, and I think I always say the private life it's a happy life, and some people they just don't wanna expose everything they do or buy or get,
Mhm.
and I respect that. So we always respect that, and we don't post their looks or garments or their faces or whoever they are. So it's part of.
It's very important, I think, in Arabian high society that you don't
Yeah.
show.
Also for me, I like to enjoy it and be in the moment and be with the dress instead of thinking all the time to make Insta story. I'm
Yeah.
just there with the dress and the people and the.
But you are on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, how did you survive the last 1.5 year, business-wise and also mentally?
Surviving. Sadly,
Yeah.
like everyone, I guess. Mentally, I was fine because I had my stuff to do, so I was busy,
Mhm.
and I know my mind, so I know how to shape it. And financially, and thanks God, we always ask for a 50% payment in advance. And yeah, I mean, of course, you always need to have a backup, so you just do the best you can do, and yeah, like the rest of the world, I guess, with
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, adapting.
Yeah, but some people were doing maybe immensely better than others.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Ja. Mag even wat vragen, Sophie, want hij is uitgevallen. Ik moet een code intikken, dus ik kan nou niet zien wat voor vragen er binnenkomen. Dus als we die nog even, dan heb ik nog even een andere vraag. Misschien iemand in de zaal? Ja? Graag. Zou je hier kunnen komen even?
As a creative, do you ever feel pressure to perform? And if so, how do you deal with that pressure?
Uh, yeah, oof, I don't deal with it, but yeah, I mean, we had the last talk last time. Yeah, always that I see someone that I didn't see for some time, they always say, "When is your next show?" And I always say, "Do you always ask every creative when is your next something?" We don't ask writers when is your next book, like in 6 months. I do feel the pressure of doing fashion shows. Everyone asks when is your next fashion show. We are so stuck in the idea that fashion designers need to have fashion shows. So I'm using that silence of not having fashion shows as a statement to not do it because everyone is asking for it. Because I will just do it when I feel like it and when it's the best moment financially and time wise. And when it comes, I'm busy with other things that I need to grow with and reach to have a better show when I have it. But yeah, you just have to focus on yourself and you have to listen to people, but you should not take that pressure. I don't know if I explain myself. Just don't care what others say in a way that doesn't affect you negatively. You know what I mean?
Here's a very nice question, I think. Does Karim speak the amazing language of the Rif region?
Yes.
Can you say something?
أهلا المخرجين. سورة المزيغ. So this is a language that is very not common in Morocco, but it's a Berber Amazigh language in north that comes from the tribes of the Atlas.
How many people worldwide still speak it? Do you know?
No, not really.
Okay.
I will Google it later.
I'm almost afraid to ask, but somebody else is asking after your last answer. Do you have any specific ambitions or goals you want to achieve?
Um, I do, but I would rather not talk about them.
No?
No. Until I would rather show it than talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. And why is that?
I don't know. I'm more of I do more than I talk.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm scared if I say something, it might.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm working in many different projects and ambition and goals that I have, but I'm, navigating the waters to see what's the best moment to announce them.
Mhm. Another question. How do you connect your art making mind and your designing mind? Are they the same? Are they separate entities? Can you also think commercial?
Um, yeah, of course. I mean, you have to balance them. If you do something commercial, every big commercial brand has values that you need to always follow. And that's the creative side. So if you have 5 values, then you always have to implement that commercially in whatever you do. And if you're creative, you also have to keep that aesthetic and mood and energy in your looks or whatever you do around it always the same. So yeah, it's finding a link in between always. And yeah.
Any more questions here? Yes, please come over.
If you looked back to your 17-year-old self, what would the advice you would give him?
um I think, yeah, I do feel like, I mean, I made many mistakes that don't regret because I needed them to learn from them. So if I say something to myself when I was 17, I might say, do the same because I'm happy where I am, like make the same mistake and I wouldn't change anything because if I have that power, then I will change a lot of stuff. So I would rather, but I will say maybe trust yourself more. Yeah. Good question.
Do you have any plans of moving from Amsterdam?
Why you wanna follow me?
Why? No, I was just wondering. I mean, I can imagine that a lot of people want you now, so that maybe they offer you places or.
Yeah, I am good here. It's a s- I love Amsterdam. It's a city, but it's a big village. How I said before, I don't like big cities, so and we are so well connected here. Like you can travel easily everywhere, internationally as well. So at the moment, I'm not. No, I'm
It's
good.
also like Iris van Herpen, Ronald van der Kamp, and Victor van Rolf. They also prefer to stay here because then they are away from the hectic Paris.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess because tax-wise is better.
Tax
To be
wise, what?
honest.
To stay here?
Yeah.
Really? Oh God, I've never heard that.
Really? Oh.
Is there one last question?
Come on, ask me everything you want.
Oh wow, he doesn't say that often, so.
Let's see if I answer.
Yes, I see a question. A naughty question is coming now.
Oh, no, Fiona.
I see.
I was wondering what you do when you have creative blocks and how do you keep yourself getting inspired when you just don't have any inspirations?
Oh, I let them block me until they cannot block me anymore. It just
And how long does it take?
uh, depends, because when you look for inspiration is when it doesn't come, and that I know. And sometimes I'm like, please come, I need you now. And then it's what they just do something completely different. That is like, I don't know, I go running or biking or friends or watch a stupid show, because then my brain just goes numb and then it wakes up again. I'm like, oh, okay. And then something comes. Yeah, you have to let go if you want something to come.
And maybe another question, what kind of people do you like to be surrounded by?
Um, the ones they don't ask many questions. No, I'm joking. I don't know. I like people with their own ambitions, who have dreams, and you know, yeah. I don't know. I'm not very demanding. If someone is happy with himself or herself, I'm happy. Then I don't have to deal with their unhappiness, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I like all kind of people. I have creative friends and yeah, whatever.
Nice, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I think that was the last question. Well, thank you, Karim, for sharing, for giving us a little bit of insight in your crazy mind. Not crazy, your creative mind.
Who thinks I'm crazy?
You said cuckoo. No, no, no.
Yeah.
Okay, you're working together.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much for sharing
Thank you so
everything and
much.
all your personal stories. It was lovely to
you.
hear, and have a
My
nice,
pleasure.
nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you.